you should know your purpose. Every single human being on earth is walking on this earth with a purpose to achieve something, to impact the world with something. There and then, it made even more sense to me that if I had all these feelings, if my grandmother was so into music, she played a lot of different music in the house, different. She played from Zambian music to Zaire music. That means there was a reason why I had these experiences. How did I get this? Was it a form of experiences, or did it just come to me? I think it's a combination of everything. It's living it, being in it, experiencing it, and the fact that somewhere, some inside, God had put that gift to be able to notice, to sense it.
I'm super excited for today's episode because it's not something you see every day or hear every day. Today's conversation is going to be very special, I promise you, right? Today I have one of my faves, if not my fave. He is the one and only Charles Ikechukwu Onwumboya, also known as Onye Beat. He's a music producer, a sound engineer, a film composer, a singer, a songwriter. He's a whole lot, but he's going to tell you more about himself. So if you're not too busy, please make welcome Onye Beat.
Thank you. My smile, my cheeks are aching for smiling. Thank you.
You smile a lot.
I do.
You smile a lot.
I've heard that a lot, but it's my way of just
it comes from within.
Exactly. Smiling to people, it has a way of affecting even the next person. Like just smile.
True. Just smile as much as you can.
Yes.
Don't hold back.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I must confess, I love your outfit.
Oh wow, thank you.
It's giving Ichie Charles.
Oh yes.
So I can call you Ichie Charles.
Actually, it's Obuevi.
Oh, it's true. Please forgive me. I didn't introduce him properly. He is also the what's that? He is also Onye Beat, one of Aguleri. I forgot that. Okay, we should add Obuefi. Onye Beat, one of Aguleri.
Yes.
Is now complete.
If
I knew you were gonna turn up like this, I would have, come correct. Wear my own. Everywhere would just be red. I wear my own long gown. I will even carry hand fan. So that we'll be throwing very well. Yeah. Please, next time tell me.
But you're looking scintillating too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, do you have more to tell us about yourself?
Well, you basically summed it up. So I've been a lover of the arts and media generally, and I've always, from a really young age, been interested in making music. Maybe I didn't understand what it was that I wanted to do as a child, but I knew that I wanted to create something, create art. I didn't know if it was going to be music or
acting,
painting or film or anything. But I'm thankful that in some way I was able to find that path, and I'm here.
Like I said, welcome once again, and let's dive right into it.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, let it be known that this is my opinion. After Jude Nnam, the ancestor.
Hey.
Yes, after Jude Nnam, the ancestor.
Wow.
I have 3 favorite young music composers.
Wow.
Can you guess who they are?
No.
You don't want to guess? Don't worry, I will do it for you. Okay, so my 3 favorites are you. Alex Ugu,
wow.
And of course my choir master Buki Melody.
Wow.
Yeah. And one thing I like about the 3 of you is when I listen to your songs, I love the intentionality, I love the message, and I love how you guys carry your songs, right? And I think you do that a lot. Your videos, the way you carry, like you embody it, and I think it's something that is very admirable. And amongst these 3, you're my fave. Yeah,
wow.
You're my fave. Yes, wow. You are, right? So, because I love your song so much, and what's solidified everything was the moment I realized that most of the songs that I enjoyed, you composed them. I think I mentioned a few to you the other time. Emmanuel.
Yeah.
When I didn't even know you were the one that composed Chiobioma. Wow. I never knew. You know the deal breaker?
What?
It was when I realized that you composed Abu Muzai, and I was like, okay, this is it. Because I love that song so much.
Thank you.
When I noticed you were the one that composed, I was so happy that, is it that composer? I was like, okay, I'm going to go and learn it more. So
thank you.
You guys are doing so good. You are doing such an amazing thing when it comes to composing liturgical music. And it just makes me to wonder, how did you get there? How did you discover that niche? How did you go into that niche? Because some people have this talent, some people have this passion, but they might decide to channel it to a different niche, to a different genre. They might say, okay, let me do hip hop or rap, but you chose, composing Catholic songs. So how did it all begin? Was it a conscious choice? Was it a personal choice, or did life lead you there?
Like I said, from a really, really young age. So I grew up I was raised by my grandmother.
Oh, nice.
And she was very, very musically inclined. In her younger age, she was a chorister. She used to sing a lot in the house. She played a lot of music in the house. And my mother too eventually took in that line. She joined the choir. And I used to follow my mother a lot to her choir practices, playing just around the choir rehearsal. And so one day I eventually decided to join them to sing. Now, because for some reason I hung around the choir practice, it seemed like unconsciously some of the songs registered in my head, right? And singing in the choir practice one of these days, the choir master was like, why is this boy, I asked my mother, why is this boy not in the choir? And that was the beginning of it. My mother, the next rehearsal, made sure that I joined the children's choir. And since then, it's been one layer of experience to another. So I didn't just experience choral music. The step I had, like I said, it became steps on steps. So the next place that I got interested in was a band. So it was a gospel band, and the kind of music that was done in the gospel band is, pieces from Kirk Franklin, Dietrich Haddon, C.C. Winans, that genre of music, contemporary gospel music. So I had experience. I was the youngest member of they were all older people. I was the youngest member of that group, and I was there for a while too. So I got that experience. Meanwhile, I'm also a chorister in the children's choir, singing liturgical pieces, hymns, and the likes. And then I also had this experience singing gospel contemporary, as you may have it. And then years later down the line, I also joined an acting troupe in the church. So in fact, generally my experiences, I'm stating this to just give you an insight of how I got to this point. So I joined an acting troupe, and that exposed me to the world of being in the theater, being an actor, being a part of plays and the likes. And that in itself gave me an experience of theatrical music that is done for an audience, physical audience. And years down the line, I joined choral groups that were specifically singing operatic pieces and the likes, like Handel, Haydn, Mozart, and all the likes. And when I eventually got into university, that's where it began. I met and learned from some of the most talented people I've ever experienced in my life. I joined the choir in the University of Benin, St. Albert's Choir, and I heard compositions from the likes of people like Ezomo John, Dr. Ezomo John, Pharmacist Vincent Ihaza, and I was, in fact, it's like it opened the whole new vista of something that I'd always had, because I was like, wow, if young people can do this, that means, wow, I could try it. And that was the genesis of me trying to compose liturgical music. Now, actually, before then, like I said, I had this experience in different genres of music. In secondary school, actually, we formed, I and my friends formed this boy band where we're composing, in quotes, Afrobeat, R&B, love songs, and the likes. So I also had, in some way, that formation. So it was all this put together that shaped me and
you.
shaped the sort of sound that I began to compose. So for me, I wanted to from that time I wanted to write music that affected me the way I was affected by the songs I heard at university when I got into university, like from John and from Ihaza. There was something about the music that made me feel something, and I wanted to write music that appealed to people, that not just appealed to people, that made people feel something, that when you listen, when you hear the music, it has an impact to you, like an impact that elevates you emotionally, whether it makes you smile or it makes you retrospect or it makes you just feel inspired, whatever it is that it makes you feel, because I want to feel it first before, and I know that once I feel it, that the next person is going to feel it. And for me, that's just been the center. So if I'm writing music, contemporary music, or I'm writing theatrical music for films, or I'm writing liturgical music, or I'm writing a contemporary song like an R&B song, these are the underlying facts that I want to make people feel something when they listen to the music. And really, that's just what has been my guiding force, to inspire and to like make people feel something when they listen to the music. And that's how I got here. That's it.
That's a beautiful one. When did you write your first song?
Yeah, I think the very first song I wrote was in 2007. Yes.
What was the song about?
It was so that was a phase of my life where I was involved in operatic music. So my first attempt was to write a song that sounded something like the song by Handel called Comfort Ye. It's a tenor solo. Comfort Ye, something that sounded like it. So I wanted, and I wrote it on staff notation at the time, because that was when I started learning staff notation. So that Handel's music inspired me to want to write something, and that was the first thing I wrote. Everything else down the line was in between writing the songs with my friends in the boy band, to the very first time I wrote a choral song was when I got into university in 2014. And yeah, that's the genesis of it all. But for compose, I feel like composing for me has been an experience. Like, I've lived it, because music around me, I was always inquisitive. How did they make this? In fact, even with recordings, I was born in the time when there were cassette players, and I would look at the cassette player playing from the radio, and I'm like, how is it that you put this thing in and then the sound coming out of it? Like, it was always so amazing. I didn't understand what the science behind it at the time, but I was inquisitive. I didn't have anyone to answer the questions for me. But interestingly, years down the line, when I and my boy band friends, like I said, in secondary school, we're like, let's go and record a song. So where are we going to record a song? They have to go to a studio. Oh, really? There are studios here. And that, for some reason, that's childhood memory of, okay, that thing that's playing out from here, we're about to go see how it's been made. Yeah. And the very day we stepped into that studio and I saw the producer do it felt like magic, some sort of sorcery, like he was conjuring some things. And I'm like, I was in awe. I was transfixed. It was amazing to witness. And that was the day I said, you know what, this is what I want to do with my life. And the rest is history. Interestingly, that producer was the one who trained me. I met. His name is Maicon, and till this very day, I'm eternally grateful to Maicon for, giving me a chance to, learn under his tutelage. And yeah.
So it's safe to say that it was at that point you discovered that music and production was your calling.
Exactly. Exactly. Not just then. So just before we left secondary school, there were this group of inspirational, motivational speakers who were going around, going to schools to talk to students, and they came to our valedictory service, and they talked about finding your purpose. That was the center. I mean, they were just talking to young secondary school leavers, just trying to let them know what it meant to leave secondary school and to go into life, university, and for those who wanted to study, learn businesses or whatnot, that you should know your purpose. Every single human being on earth is walking on this earth with a purpose, to achieve something, to impact the world with something. And then it made even more sense to me that if I'd had all these feelings, if My grandmother was so into music. She played a lot of different music in the house. Different, like, I mean different. She played from Zambian music to Zaire music to Aguilera music. Aguilera music has a way it sounds.
Oh,
Is
nice.
there's a way music in Aguilera sounds. It's full of chants and rhythms, and I'm hoping that one day I'm going to write a piece that is entirely, like, authentically Aguilerian. You know,
We can't wait.
I'm looking forward to that. So at that point, at that lecture they were giving, it made me think, like, that means there was a reason why I had these experiences. Like you said, was it a form of, how did I get this way? Was it a form of experiences, or did it just come to me? I think it's a combination of everything. It's living it, being in it, experiencing it, and the fact that somewhere, some inside, God had put that gift to be able to notice, you know, to sense it. And that's why I would appeal to parents of this generation. When your child is maybe in the parlor, has converted your wall to something, he's just writing on the wall, please don't be the child. Then maybe that God is saying something, that this child is the next Picasso, the next Leonardo da Vinci. Buy him a board, let him start sketching on it. You understand? So, and that was, I'm eternally grateful to my grandmother and my mother for pushing me, encouraging me to join the choir, and here.
You know, what you said now makes a lot of sense, because I mean, back then, I also appreciate your mom and your grandmother for what they did, because back then, if you're singing, they'll say you're making noise. Why are you making noise? But they don't understand that this thing goes beyond going to school and reading your book. That children have talent. We should be nurtured. We should be, trained. And I also applaud parents of nowadays. You see kids doing great things online, and it's something that we should emulate. It's something that we have to keep pushing. It's a narrative that needs to be pushed, so that parents has to open their eyes, because that thing they think they will get out of school, it might be within their child. It might just be writing or painting. So parents actually have a role to play when it comes to nurturing children and bringing out their talent.
Absolutely.
So big ups to your grandmom and your mom.
The Chinese people are doing that so much,
right?
Like, some people say it's abuse, or to some extent. I think it's a continuum. Like, if you push it too much to the extreme, it's like you're pushing the child so much to the extreme. Like a 5-year-old, you must learn how to play Mozart, piano, or you must be doing something incredible. And it has worked for them to some extent if you check it, because it's the popular phrase, catch them young. Because the only way a child is going to become a genius or great in the future is that they start really early to start living out that, because you see it. Their children, maybe the child is talking too much in the house, is yapping, making noise. That child is a presenter, public speaker.
Presenter. Look into that. It makes so much sense. You spoke a lot about inspiration, and it's not easy to compose songs that has to do with religious setting. When it comes to religion, it deals with a lot of discipline. You can't just wake up and go to the studio and say anything you can't think of, anything you want, just be talking. When it comes to the religious setting, you have to be more intentional. It deals with a high level of inspiration. How do you get your inspiration to write songs? Do you get it when you're in your room sleeping, or when you're just with your friends? Do you also battle with creative blocks?
So okay, I'll answer the first one. It's living it. It happens around me. So it could be that I'm in the bathroom having a bath, or that I'm watching something, I'm listening to music from someone, or I'm watching a movie and I hear this piece of music, or it could be that I'm reading a passage or a line of lyric or words, just generally. So it could be, like I said, it exists everywhere. It could be that I'm looking at a plant and I'm thinking about the essence of that plant. It's just so many things put together that inspires something to come out. I'll give you an example for one song. It's Abu Museum, for instance. I attended a concert in Futo in Owerri, one of their Kanzuna concerts, and there was a song that he did called Ubu Zion. I was mesmerized by the music, it was just so glorious. I'm like, wow, I want to write a song about the mountain, about Zion, you know. And there was a song my grandmother of blessed memory, by the way, God rest her soul, that she used to play. It's called Amen Choir Chorus by the Methodist Baptist Church of Aba. It was a organe song. So I've always wanted to write something that was on the organe, you know, that's gyration. Yeah, feel. So, and I loved that song so much when she used to play. I don't know what, I just knew that I loved it. And then when I heard Ooh Zion at that concert, I was like, wow. In some way, the two consciousness just merged. And on the bus going back to Benin, I was in Uniben at the time. On the bus going back to Benin, the ideas came to me. So I literally was on the bus from Owerri to Benin when the inspiration came. So, like I said, the inspiration comes in various places. And then talking about composers block, like I said. So, the truth is, once you make up your mind that when I say that, oh, I want to write this music, you're in that space that I want to write, it wouldn't come. It has to be natural. The universe has to ordain it. It has to come as natural as breathing. You know, it has to come because that in itself is the music is a spirit. It has to appeal to some conscious states, subconscious rather, state of our human existence, to like for the dots to connect and the spark to start. So when you force it, it wouldn't come. That's when you have blocks. But once you step back and allow the spirits, and it could be the Holy Spirit, it could be the spirit of your ancestors, whatever it is, but there has to be something that's imbues you, that takes over you for that to happen. So whenever that happens, I just take a step back, relax, and it just happens. And
just creates magic.
That is the time when the music makes an impact the most. Because anything you write in the time when you are, I must write this song, it's always going to come off as forced. You know, there are certain songs that you hear, there's something about it that you just don't connect with. It's because maybe at the time the composer was under some pressure. For instance, some songwriters who write music for establishments like and sell, you know, they are under, or writers for instance who are under the pressure of, you have this book to submit at this time,
you have a deadline to meet.
Now, interestingly, and I think the world just works in mysterious ways, really. It might be that in that time, that crunch time, that the most comes out of you.
Actually, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, it could be in that crunch time that you're going to write something that is going to be revolutionary. Take, for instance, Charles Dickens, that wrote Oliver Twist. At the time, Charles Dickens, for one of his books, he was broke, and he went to his publishers at the time, and they told him, well, if you need some money, you have to get us a book by maybe 2 weeks or 1 week. And he went in, sat down, and wrote, and the book that came out was a smash. You know, so I feel like it's almost like there's no one way to say it. Like if it's in there, it's there. If it's in the universe, it's just for something to collide, or for something to connect it. It might be that what the universe needed to make that happen was that your boss had to tell you, get this done in 2 hours. Get this done for me or that brokenness that you were under. It could be that. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think the world is just really mysterious that way.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I can relate. I used to write songs. Did I tell you that?
Tell me.
I used to write songs. You know, because I've always wanted to be a songwriter. I wanted to go beyond, you know, choir and all of those things. Yeah. You know, so I have a song on Audio Mac. You don't know. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, please, I do. I'd love to listen to it. So that time, if somebody break my heart, I'll go and write. But on a normal day, if I sit down and say I want to write song, it won't come. Yes. But if I have any emotional thing because I love songs a lot, so it's mostly love related. Stop it. So whenever I have such encounter, I'll just go and pen it down. Sometimes I'll go to YouTube, get beats, and come up. It was serious, so I'll come up with something, but at some point, I just had to let it, be, because
please revisit it. Revisit it.
I'm going to think about that, or maybe you can also help me. Yeah,
I'm here. Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about gospel music artists and Catholic composers.
Yeah.
One thing that is distinct is, one thing I've noticed is the collaboration I see there. You see a lot of artists working together. You see Mercy Chinwo working, doing a song with Pastor Nathaniel Bassi.
Yeah.
You see Pastor Lawrence Oyo doing a song with Sound of Salem. A lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
But when it comes to liturgical music, the Catholic setting, we see little or no collaboration. Why is that the case?
That's interesting, because I feel like, so liturgical music in Nigeria has, in some way, is still growing. I mean, I think there's always still room for growth.
Yeah.
And it has passed through several different
Stages.
eras. Yeah. Think of the era of, truthfully, liturgical music came from when the missionaries came into Africa, into Nigeria, and which would mean that liturgical music in Nigeria is about roughly 150 or 200 years old. So it has gone through those stages, and you find that composers from that early times, like let me see if I can remember, T.K.E. Phillips, for instance, were scholars, people who went to the Royal College of Music in London to study. They learned that craft, and there weren't so many people that had embraced the Christian faith, at the time, or that the faith was just generally growing, right? So which means that the people who are participants of the liturgy or creating music in the space are few, right? And it has only grown over the years. So we're saying that whilst there are little, or not so many composers, it also means that collaboration might not be as rampant. But in recent times, actually, I know I've experienced it from the times when we have to write music for, there's a forum called the Forum for the Inculturation of Liturgical Music in Nigeria. So it's basically a forum where Catholic chaplaincy choirs all over Nigeria come together and present songs in different catchment areas from their catchment area, songs like that. And sometimes for my school, that's Uniben, and the other composers, and like my mentors, actually, Ezomo John, Ihaza, I've actually had to collaborate to write certain pieces. So that has been happening in recent times. In fact, I have a song, like you said, Alex Ugu is one of your faves. I have a song with that I've done with Alex Ugu, and we are working on doing something together.
Nice.
Again.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that is happening gradually, because again, the genre, I dare call it a genre, because we are doing our best to make sure that it sees the light of day. It has a space in mainstream digital media. There isn't been so much recordings of choral music in the past 25 years. So we're doing our best to create as many recordings, as many productions as possible, to put out there, to and it's beginning to gain popularity
and acceptance.
Yes, gradually.
Yes.
So like I said, it's taking time to get there, but it's happening, and I know that in no distant future that it's going to be happening a lot more, because we need that actually for us to push the sound forward, for us to, if we want choral music to be playing in the same league as the music from the Moses Blesses and the Nathaniel Basses, it means that we need to come together, we need to form a coalition, we need to collaborate, and that is happening. And I'm excited. I've been fortunate to, and I'm grateful that that's happened, to have at least produced, let's say 60 to 70% of some of the songs that are out there today, choral music that are out there, that I think of it, like maybe mention one that you think that is doing something. I most likely have had a hand in it.
I'm going to tell you one that I discovered recently.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. Dalona.
Yes.
I won't lie, I was shocked. Because I went to Spotify to listen to the music.
Yeah.
I clicked on somewhere
Yeah.
and I saw credits.
Yeah.
I saw your name. I was like, how? How did that happen?
Yeah.
At that moment, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I was so happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something in me was like, I was just happy that you were part of this song and
Yes.
it came out so nice that
Yeah.
okay, so these people are actually working together.
Yes,
It
yeah.
made me feel good
Yeah.
because you are also a composer and the composer is Obona
yes,
Ofoha.
yes.
So it was really nice and the song came out so well.
Yeah.
That song trended. It's still trending up to
It
now on
is.
TikTok.
It is.
I saw the ad on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I think on Spotify it has up to 700 and something thousand plays on Spotify.
Yeah, cumulatively across all platforms, is more than 1 million. Actually.
See, so if we have more songs like that,
Yeah.
that means we can actually put the liturgical choral songs on the map. It's very important because there is so much flavor, so much beauty
Yeah.
in our song, and it's not getting the relevance and the popularity that it deserves.
Yes.
So we actually need to do more. We need to work together more so that the world can hear more of us.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And like I said, it's growing. That's culture of working together is growing, and it's happening. I also worked with my friend Emery Matthew. He did a project where he brought 1,000 choristers together to do a reimagined African version of 10,000 Reasons, and I produced that too. And you know all that, and I think on TikTok it has almost 100,000 accounts that have used it to make videos, and it has almost, I think it's going to close to a million views on TikTok. And another thing I'm going to mention is I'm grateful for the choristers who are championing using these songs, making it popular on social media. I'm really I appreciate everyone who is doing that, who is contributing to to that growth. It's amazing to see. And it's also interesting to see that choristers are now, in my time, choristers weren't allowed to have phones at rehearsal to record themselves.
Yes.
But a lot of choristers now have phones now to record during rehearsals.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to the growth, to making people know that, oh, this is happening, or this exists. And you find that there are people who didn't know that, oh, they would love the song, and that is even non-Catholics, even non-Christians even, that are enjoying the music, or are even finding some sort of solace and could even be converted, who knows, to the faith from listening to those songs. And it's really beautiful to see, and I really commend everyone who is in that. And we are craving for and appealing for even more support, so that we can be recognized on that pedestal. Yeah.
Talking about support.
Yeah.
Another thing that is quite evident is the fact that some Catholic composers, they don't push their songs the way they need to push it. You see, when gospel artists, when they produce a song, even before the song is out, they're already out there pushing it, seeking for recognition, using their craft to make ends meet, using their craft to earn more. But when it comes to choral music, choral composers, it's as if we are in a box, we're in a circle. We don't push our music that much. You see song, you listen to song, you learn song, but choristers don't even know some of the composers. They just like the song, they just learn it, and they are cool.
Yeah.
So I think we don't push our songs very well. I don't know why that's the case. What do you think is the reason for that?
Yeah, it's just a lot more composers need to be educated on the channels that could be used to promote their songs. In the past, in a few years, I've been championing the cause for some of my mentors to put their music into recorded forms, because most composers don't have their music recorded.
Yes.
So what mostly circulates, for people who are choristers know what circulates more, is MIDI files or copies, and it's just, there's a limit to which that can go. It just circulates within the choral community, and that's it. It doesn't go out, right? Or eventually, when some of these choirs record it and it goes out on social media, people post it on social media and people start asking for copies, and that's about the limits. So, but the challenge is that recording or making recordings is not cheap. It doesn't come cheap. It's actually a capital intensive
project.
Yes. So that is where the conundrum lies, because obviously anybody who wants to throw money into something would. It's not like you're just giving the money out as charities. That money that investment has to yield something. And like I said, it takes us to educate a lot more composers that could be an avenue for them to even earn more. With the various channels that you get availed to make money when you put your music in a recorded form. You have basically engaged in the music business by doing that. Unless maybe you don't want to do, you're not involved in, you don't want to be involved in doing music business. But attached to the fact that you have to put your music outside is the need for you to make sure that music gets to as many ears as possible. As long as, especially when it's good music, it needs to go out. Yeah. So the first is get the music out there, then in some way find a way to start promoting it, making it heard. And by the time that happens, it means that you can start earning some small monies here and there from distribution, and then from publishing, and that's another education on its own. That because there are so many royalties that one can earn from just basically putting your music together and putting it out in recorded form and on the internet. Yeah, so maybe we would organize something in the nearest future to educate a lot more composers or a lot more choristers on what the advantages are to putting your music together. And I see that in the nearest future that is going to take shape, because it's already taking shape. It's already like a lot of young composers are recording their music, making videos with their choirs with the songs and putting it out there. Another thing is when they spend this money to do the recordings, shoot the videos, they should also be educated on how it is that they could make possible things from it. And that's not to say that we are doing this for the financial gains of it, because at the core of it is, I see your smile. I mean, by the core of it is that we are writing music for use in the church and for the edification of the body of Christ. Yes. But at the same time, the fact that to keep body and soul together, something has come out of it. And yes, the fact that you are touching people's lives through a product as music should in some way yield you something. Yeah. I think that would be the foundation of, that would be the starting point of encouraging composers to be able to promote their music outside just the choral community.
I've had a conversation with a composer. He was like, because I was even pushing him, record this song is doing so well online, record this song. He was like that. He writes for fun. He writes because this thing is in him. It's not like he's not doing it because he necessarily wants to like monetize it, which is understandable. But there's a saying that goes that your gifts will make room for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Yes. So God has put that in you. So you should put it out there and allow God to also favor you from that thing.
Yes.
Right? So I think they actually need to do more. Composers need to do more. And at some point I was thinking, is it a personal thing, or is it something that has to do with the Catholic setting? Is it a Catholic culture that makes composers not want to bring themselves out totally? Because when it comes to gospel setting, I think they have more freedom to push their song, to do it the way they want. So I'm thinking, is it a Catholic thing? Do you think it is?
No, I don't think there's a limitation to like a what's doctrinal limitation or the like to. I don't think so. I think maybe it's a personal thing and an educational thing. Like there's the information is not readily available to people or tools for them to use to make themselves heard. But it's happening a lot now because we have WhatsApp. Music circulates on WhatsApp like wildfire. Like if you have this audio, some group is asking, oh, I want to copy it. It happens, it circulates so quickly these days. So the tools are gradually availing themselves, and I think that there's every opportunity, there's every Catholic composers have the same opportunities to make their mark in the, and not just in the gospel music space, in the entire global music space. Because once you put your music out there, someone in India can listen to it, someone in Iraq can listen to it. Interestingly, like you said, some of my songs are going to be, it's a movie that's not out yet, but there's a movie that is going to be coming out really soon that some of my songs are going to be on, and that only happened because my songs have been out there. And when the opportunity came, I was able to pitch to the producers, and they're like, oh, wonderful, let's have it. And the music is actually a big part, or not the entire part of the movie, but an important part of the film, like a part of the film where it makes an impact. Like there's a huge impact that music is making, and that can only happen when you are putting your music out there. You're making yourself heard. And it's just an word of encouragement to everyone out there who's making an effort to put their music together. That there's so much that you can achieve with just making an effort to come out of that box. There's so much you can achieve. Another thing is being able to diversify. So for me, is like I said, I've had an experience with several genres. I've been exposed to several parts of music that I could easily fit into anything. I've been privileged to work with some gospel artists like Prince Emmanuel. I don't know if you know Prince Emmanuel.
Yes, of course.
So I've done stuff with Prince Emmanuel. I've done stuff with Just Too Funny, and these are artists out of the Catholic space. But the only way I was able to do that is because I had been able to equip myself with knowledge beyond liturgical music or choral music. And you will even find that some of those mainstream artists are picking influences from choral music into their music. I'll give you an example. Ashake, you will know that if you listen to Ashake's music, and even Sheyi vibes, when you listen to the music is based off some offshoot of choral music. That's chorus singing. That's large body of voices coming together to sing a line.
That makes sense.
You understand? That influence is gradually gaining popularity in mainstream media. So there's something that we have that's in the choral music space that is going to make an impact. That's going to bring something fresh towards it's already known as mainstream music. Because the truth is, there's only so much that a kind of genre can do at a time. Now what we're enjoying is the amapiano vibe. Even some gospel arts musicians are infusing that amapiano Afro vibe into their music. It's the cool thing now. Doesn't mean that it could be the thing that will be existing forever. There's some award shows that have put the entire Africa to one sound and call it Afrobeats. But African music is like I said, in fact, that's what it is. African music is much more than Afrobeats. It's much more than amapiano. It's much more than whatever it is that they are putting us into a box to be. So, speaking about diversification, I enjoin as many people as many composers as possible to think beyond just writing music, the kind of music that appeals, or in quotes, that has been the trend or the sound that is attributed to liturgical music. Expand that course, expand that idea, explore ideas. Doesn't mean that it cannot be used in the church. It can be used in the church, but it can also be an impact, have a positive impact outside. And it could be our own way of evangelizing. Who knows? And I don't know if that made sense.
It does, 100%. I mean, talking about versatility, you are an embodiment of versatility. Because like you said, you've done different kinds of music. You've been in different areas of music, and you've explored, right? And which I think also led you to the film space, to Nollywood, right? And you've done a lot. Like you said, you've even worked with Prince Emmanuel, you've worked with Josh Tufoni. I think I saw one of the videos you did with Josh Tufoni. It was actually funny. his reaction, he's a very funny person, So how did you get into that space of composing for film, making soundtrack for movies? You did for Blackout, Igbo Be Igbo. That song is so nice. I was listening to it this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually. So nice. You did for Olola Day, right? You did for Strain.
Yes.
You did for, I think, My Daughter.
Yes,
you have a lot.
Yeah.
How did you get into that space? How? Tell us.
Okay, so again, that's one aspect of my childhood that I think I missed out. But I think I mentioned it, that how I was involved with theater, being a part of an art troupe. So from that, my experience in that art troupe, I knew that I just had a love for telling stories through like plays and drama and film. So, and I didn't get to watch a lot of movies as a child, but later in life, I started watching movies, and for some reason, that medium of art just resonated so largely with me. And then I eventually stumbled on what the likes of composers, Hans Zimmer, I don't know if you know Hans Zimmer, his owner composed. Okay. Do you know? Do you know what movie that is from? That's from Pirates of the Caribbean, and that's Hans Zimmer. Do you know? That's the Gladiator soundtrack, and still Hans Zimmer. So I found people like that. I'm like, oh wow, oh, what can I remember from Lion King? He did the music of Lion King, basically. Yes, Hans Zimmer. So I saw movies like that, and I'm like, wow, this is possible. For some reason, the same way I connected to every other genres of music that I connected with growing up, I connected with that too. I knew I don't know how it was going to happen, but I wanted to do stuff in that field. There was almost no opportunity. It seemed like such a really far unattainable dream to have. I know I saw myself rehearsing my speech on the Oscar stage. I've been dreaming of that to happen. It hasn't happened yet. It's not even in Nigeria, but I know that hopefully God willing to happen someday. But these were dreams that I had. Not until 2019, a friend of mine, Uche Awulo, a singer, sent me a Facebook post of Okeoku looking for a music producer or film composer, basically, for his studio. I was like, okay, I know Okeoku. I've been watching his videos as a child. I admire his work. I didn't even know that he did music. He did stuff in music production earlier. But what I knew from him was that I had seen music videos that he had shot. He had shot for Chinyere Udoma, for Mike Ejeagha, for Patio Bassi. He did most of these videos at the time. And I was like, well, I want to work with this man. And I sent him a message. I sent him some of my work, and it instantly created a connection that has lasted till this day, because he absolutely loved. I sent him one a cappella I did. I did an a cappella of Rema's Dumebi at the time, and he absolutely loved it, because he was very, like I said, he was very into a cappella music when he was younger, and that's how the relationship began. And I told him that I had never composed music for film before, but I was really interested to learn, to see what I could do in that field. And the next thing was that he sent me a film. I said, I don't know how to go about it. I've never done this. He said, try your hands on it. And that's the name of that movie is Just Kidding. That was my first film that I scored. And ever since, every single movie that Okeoku has done since 2019 till this day, I've been the one composing the music and also producing the soundtracks for. So I feel like it's just stars aligning, following your dreams, speaking them into reality, manifesting them, and working towards it. Not just dreaming wishfully, putting the work. because it's an incredible amount of work. I had no idea how to go about it, but I knew that I needed to put my head down and study, find a way that I'm going to make it work. And because I'd surrounded myself with the arts, with films, with theater, with music, with contemporary music, with classical music, with choral music, with liturgical music, film music is everything encompassed. Creating music for film is not just writing music that sounds like this or something. It has to be music that helps tell the story of the film. And for you to be able to do that, you need to have a lot of experience and tool to be able to, because you just become a chameleon at the time, because you need to tell the story in the language of the film, and the language of the film also has to translate to how the music sounds. And that's the story of how I got into composing music for film. And it's one of the I say the most joyful things I'm proud of about doing, because in Nigeria today the film composition music industry is growing. The attention of the spotlight is shining gradually on that space, because when you watch a film, you can't, for some films you might not be able to tell that something is happening musically, because that's what the music is supposed to do. And for some films, the music is there, robust. I might sing something now. Let me see if you can pick this. Da, 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 da.
I know it.
Da, 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 da. Can you figure what that is?
I can't remember.
That's Game of Thrones.
I know the sound, but I just couldn't remember the movie.
Yeah. So, like I said, that genre of music is gaining acceptance and prominence gradually, little by little. And for us here in Nollywood, where the industry itself is thriving on very limited budgets, but doing everything that we can. Most of the movies that we do, the budgets of, and one of the biggest Nollywood movies is maybe what one actor would get in Hollywood. The entire budget of a film in Nigeria would probably be what a department or an actor is getting in Hollywood. So we're doing a lot to achieve so much with very little. So it means that it trickles down to the point that our department, which is film music, it's almost like we're doing it for basically nothing. But we're doing it because it's an industry that we know that in the nearest future there's going to be a lot of light showing on it, because the world is turning its eyes on Nollywood. A lot of movies that are happening in Hollywood are taking inspiration for what is happening in Africa. There's almost no Hollywood movie that you see now that doesn't have a Nigerian in it, or that isn't saying something about Nigeria. So it means that what is happening back here in Hollywood is getting international prominence, and which means that our budgets will begin to grow gradually. And when that happens, it's definitely going to have impacts positively in what we're able to achieve with the music of films. Yeah,
that makes sense. When I researched about you, I saw that you're a film composer. I was like,
what does that mean?
Which one is film composer? Which one is film composer? I mean, music composer, we know there are, but film composer, but when I now went far, I now understood what it was all about. And it made me realize that, okay, this career path is not pronounced. It's not, a lot of people don't know about it, and they don't know what they can actually do in that area. They don't know that they can also leverage that area and do great things.
Yes.
Right. So what do you think is the reason? Why is it not pronounced? Why are people not paying attention? Even when it comes to recognition, are there recognitions for film composers? In
Nigeria,
there is none.
So, and there was a controversy that happened. I don't know if I should mention the award. Last year, actually, at a certain known award, there was a category called sound. In fact, I think it was sound or something. But that category also had people who did music. So they basically put people who did sound and music into one category. But music for film is an entirely different thing. Sound for film is an entirely different. They are all the same thing. Like they are all, you hear it basically. It's auditory, but they are doing different things to elevate it, to telling the story. Let me just define what a film composer does in the film. So, as a film composer, you're in charge of telling the story through music. Now, one of the reasons why it's not as prominent is because, like I said, in Nollywood, a lot is done with very little. And it now means that so many departments have to maybe be done by one person or sourced from the internet. So most times original music isn't composed for a lot of Nollywood films. Most of the things are sourced from the internet by the editors of the film. Right? So it's not a department that is taken care of by a music professional. It's just something that's why it feels like if you watch older Nollywood movies, there's a signature sound when you hear Nollywood. There's a sound when you hear that this is a Nollywood film. There's a sound it has. That's that sound.
Yes.
But everyone will agree with me that doesn't sound professional. That doesn't sound like what the identity of Nollywood should be. Right? I remember watching Indian movies as a child. There was something about Indian music in their film, especially with their film. There's something that evokes in you because it's masterfully created. Obviously, in Hollywood, it is a no joke area. When you hear the music from, for instance, a Star Wars movie or a Superman movie or an Avengers movie, for instance, it is grand and robust. For that to be achieved, professionals. For instance, there is a composer in a typical Hollywood film. There's a composer, there's an orchestrator, there are recording engineers, because when the composer composes, writes some paper, he then translates it to an orchestrator who now orchestrates it for choirs, for strings, for brass, for percussionists. In the movie Black Panther, the second Black Panther movie, that's the part 2, the film composer came to Nigeria and recorded sounds from the Yoruba people, from the Igbo people, from Hausa. He brought the professionals brought all around Nigeria to it. They recorded in Lagos, and these are the different stages that it goes through. But that budget to do that is what would make maybe even make like 5 films in Nigeria. And that's the reason why film composers in Nollywood is almost like a non-existent career. And we are trying to, with the fact that Nollywood is gaining international prominence, we are making our voice heard, making our statement known, that for you to actually give our films a unique identity, there's so much that we can do with African Nigerian, authentically Nigerian music that can give our films a whole new feel. When you go to see a Nollywood film in a cinema, you should sit back and experience not just the visuals, but the beauty of the sound and the music,
the whole embodiment of the movie.
Exactly. But that wouldn't happen cheap or in a whim. It's going to take months and months of work, and for someone to dedicate months of work to something, it means that person is a professional. It means that that's what the person does for a living. Yes. It means that that's what the person does to feed his family, and plan their life. It means that the person stops everything else to do that. And for one to do that, there has to be some considerable remuneration. And then for recognition, it's important that bodies hear us. I mean, we need to do our own parts by putting ourselves out there, letting people know that this is a part of the film that is integral to the storytelling and that should be recognized. And when that, I know we still have a lot of work to do with that, but the institutions, that is the award organizers and whatnot, are should be at the helm. They are the, in quotes, academy, the people who should be the repositories of knowledge of what it means to recognize people who are working in the film industry, should also recognize what we're doing. It will encourage us to even put in more work. It would encourage producers to see the importance of what we are doing. So this is an opportunity for me to speak about that, to let the producers, to let the institutions hear and know what it is that we do. like you said, did you know who is a film composer? I've explained. I want to believe that you know what a film, who a film composer
and
is.
our audience, they obviously know now.
And I'm glad, and I'm hoping that the word begins to spread, and for other younger people out there too, that the only career in music is not just being a music producer for Afrobeats or whatnot. There's so much more we can do. There's so much more to diversify into, to explore, so that again the world doesn't see us as the Afrobeats people. It sees us as African music. And that can only happen when we explore all these different channels, and that can only also happen when the institutions recognize that there are all these other channels or all these other professions or that in film, in music, that can be explored and that should be given attention to.
So last year you did something. Do you know what you did? You don't know what you did? Okay. Last year, was it? Yes, it's last year. I'm correct. You left the shores of Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
You left the shores of Africa.
Wow.
And then you moved to Saudi Arabia in Jeddah for a program, the Music and Sound program.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, I found out. I found that out. How was the experience?
Oh my goodness. That was a really, really refreshing and insightful program. Because so what it was for film composers in the Arab, Asian and African region. So we basically brought together to learn under renowned world-renowned composers like Simon Franklin. Simon Franklin did music for Avatar, Way of Water, and some other like really amazing composers around the world. And so that whole experience for me was just completely life-changing, because it gave me first-hand understanding of what really goes into, like, gives me a scope of what really goes into making music for film. Like, it is so massive there in the world, and what's happening in Hollywood. It's grand, it's really, really large. But it also showed me that for me to have gotten the opportunity, that means there was something I was doing right. Yes. I must have been getting something right for me to have been invited for such, a really prestigious event as that. And it was completely an eye-opener. The Red Sea International Film Festival is doing so much amazing work for emerging filmmakers and crew members in the industry too, because you find that not a lot of people, like I said, even there, not a lot of people are paying attention to sound or film, like giving us giving them an understanding of what impacts that our job is doing in movies. And they singled out, there are not so many in the world of things like that's acknowledge or train film composers. If there are, they are very, very like they are only for the creep and the crop of the industry, right? But the fact that they're doing that and they are trying to reach out to people from various parts of the world that don't have as much going on for them, I'm eternally grateful for that opportunity, because it was life changing. Really, it was really at the core of what that has opened up for me is that there's a need for us here in Nollywood to understand that as much as what we're doing here seems like it's not so much, there's a lot of attention being paid to us. Like I feel like we don't even hear that enough, because it was there that someone met me and said, do you know, we are from Nigeria, do you know that man that always says you're doing well? It's like, really? MC Macaroni? Like, it was amazing to see that they are seeing a lot of what is happening here. And that means that we need to do a lot of work. We need to pay attention to a lot of detail, because that is glaring. It's really obvious there, because when you see the amount of work that goes into making just a part of the department, just one department of their filmmaking divisions there, is doing incredible work. One of the teachers showed us his computer, shows us how he created his stuff. And if I put what he has on my laptop,
it will crash.
Yeah. That laptop will not forgive me. You understand? That is the amount of work that goes in. And that was just a bit of what he did. He was showing us a cue from a particular scene. So what if he now shows us the entire film? But it doesn't mean that we're not doing much here, right? But like I said, for the fact that I got caught, that it meant that something is happening. There's something they're saying.
Yes.
And it's something that they want us to bring back here to address and to work on. And by God's grace, I don't know if you've seen Blackout yet. Try and see Blackout.
So the magic you got from Red Sea, you poured it into Blackout.
Yes.
Oh, go and see Blackout if you haven't. Go and see the magic that Onyebit did there.
Yes.
And then come back and tell us what you got.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. But and I feel like a lot more can be done. In fact, so I've not even scratched the surface here. A lot more can be done. But yeah, that was it.
So when you got the invitation, how did you feel?
See, it was like, so when did I get that invitation? Yeah, where was I? I had just literally woken up from sleep. And so the things that I was checking my email almost every 2 Eke market days too.
Okay, you applied for it.
Yes, I applied for it actually. To see what the update was. And I was waiting, until I got the email. And as I saw it, I was like, I called my mom, I called my friend in Canada, called everybody and told them, see, it has happened though. I mean, because I told everybody in the first place that this is what's going to happen. This was what I applied for, and everyone is praying for me. And it happened, and we're here, and that experience has been gained, and that experience has been used, and
will still be
using it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. From all we've said today, from our conversation, one thing that is very evident is your passion for music. It's so glaring. It's not hiding. It's evident, right? And not just the passion, but your zeal to use music to tell good stories. It is very, very evident, and it's something that is very admirable, and it's something that needs to be focused on. We need to tell more stories with music. Which brings me back to the question of what is next for Onyebit? What should we be expecting from the legendary Onyebit? Yeah, I give you that title. I gave it to you. Take it now.
Am I worthy of legendary status?
He is.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, what's next? So obviously it's working on some more movies. Like I said earlier, there's a film coming out, and I'm particularly excited because it's going to put choral music on the map. That's not something you see a lot in films, and particularly in Nollywood. But that film is going to do that, and I'm really excited for when it comes out. Hopefully sometime later this year, next year, I'm not sure. But let's just fingers crossed. So there's that, and then I'm working on an album, actually, compilation of my choral songs, some of my choral songs, to be released sometime in July, August of this year. And prior to that, there's still going to be a lot of singles that I'll be putting out leading up to the album. I recently released one, Kenezigwe, on Sunday. So it's basically that, and just to keep working and creating music, and learning, really, because the learning never stops.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Crisp TV show. We had fun.
Absolutely.
We had fun and we learned a lot. This is more like music 101. Am I correct? Yes, music 101. So thank you so much, and we wish you all the best moving forward.
Thank you.
In all your endeavors.
Thank you.
Any final words for your fans?
Wow.
And our audience?
I want to say a very, very big thank you to you, Ifunaya, for extending the invitation to the entire Crisp TV team for creating this space and this avenue to share our stories. And I want to thank every single person who has brought me to where I am today, to my mother, to my grandmother of blessed memory, to everybody who God has put to help me through life to become the person I have become. And I want to say to everyone out there, keep doing what you love to do. Like I said, every single person is walking this earth with a purpose. So find your purpose and chase it and achieve it, because the world needs to hear it, the world needs to feel it. And for as many as try this, just know that no matter how hard and difficult it becomes, that you're definitely it's going to happen someday. It's going to manifest. And keep watching the Crisp TV show, and have a nice day.
All right, thank you so much once again for what you said, right? Thank you for thanking us. I mean, the essence of this show is to tell stories that inspire greatness, and we see the great work you do, and it's our responsibility to tell that story, right? So thank you so much for sharing your story with us and our audience. And with that, we've come to the end of today's episode. To you, my amazing audience, I told you that today's episode is not something you see every day or hear every day. I know you've learned a lot. This is Music 101. So if you don't know anything about music, I know that by the end of this session, you're already equipped with so much knowledge. So thank you so much for tuning in. I remain your humble host, Ifunaya Ibeneme Perpetua. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, comment, and I will see you in the next episode. Taijen.